Some of us, if not many of us, have heard about the problem of human trafficking. In fact, Color 8 aired an award-winning documentary on the issue. But even now, do we know what it looks like or even know how to stop it? Ahead of an event this weekend in Billings, to shed light on it again, we focus on the problem through the experiences of a very brave woman who is stepping forward to tell us her story and help others who are caught in its trap.
I've been going to school for 2 years. I'm a mom, a wife, a human trafficking survivor. What makes me just laugh and have fun? Trips. I can say my kids, just enjoying life.
But life hasn't always been a laughing matter for Rebecca Begay. Her sadness and eventual entry into human trafficking started in Laurel when she was very young. At the age of 13, Rebecca ran from her problems into the streets. She says she sold herself for her drug fixes.
Drugs became a part of my life huge, and I lived on the streets here in Billings from the ages of 13 until about 14 and a half, 15.
Rebecca's sister was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and came to her rescue, or at least she thought. She moved there to live with her sister and family for about 4 months until things got even worse. Rebecca says she survived being beaten by a man she trusted. She moved away and started cleaning up her act, but eventually she started partying with the wrong people and bounced right back to her sister's house. Then a man she calls Bo came along.
He wined and dined me. He taught me things that I never knew. In particular, he taught me how to dance, and he taught me how to be proper and how not to use my language in certain ways.
But Bo was after something else.
Bo told me that I could either do it very willingly or not. He took me into the kitchen and we started talking, and he was like, I have people here and you're going to sleep with them.
He threatened to kill her family if she didn't.
Give me a second. I'm not gonna cry.
Be sure to join us at 6 and 10 tonight for the rest of our survivor story. At 5 tonight, we introduced you to a local survivor of human trafficking, a woman who is bravely stepping into the spotlight to tell her story and save others from the same fate. We continue Rebecca Begay's story tonight with a man she calls Bo, a man she describes as her everything at the young age of 15. The same man who started turning on her and selling her for sex.
I don't know why every time. My body was mangled and dangled that night. When it was done and over with, and after they were done with me, Bo laid next to me and did what he wanted and told me he loved me.
That was the first time Rebecca Begay says she was sold in Atlanta, Georgia to several men for sex, but it wasn't the last. Rebecca says ecstasy and cocaine were her go-to drugs, a way to survive the horrific experience over and over again.
It made it feel fun. Didn't have to think about it. So if somebody had a fetish of cutting or burning you or doing any of those, you just let it happen. You just never move.
And that's not all Rebecca says she was forced to do.
There was lots of girls that he wanted me to recruit, so I became their lure. So there was a week that I lured in probably 60 girls between 12 to 16.
Rebecca says her drug use eventually ravaged her body and she was no longer commanding top dollar, so she was sold. But one night she says she started hearing a voice, one she believes was a message from a higher power.
I looked in the mirror and I just knew. I was like, you're either gonna die having sex or you're gonna die with a bullet in the back of your head. You need to pick one. And I picked the bullet.
When the opportunity presented itself, she ran as quickly and as fast as she could.
I turned down an alley, I jumped into a garbage can, and I wiggled myself all the way down to the pit of the garbage can. And in Atlanta, Georgia, there is lots of rats.
But that wasn't the end of Rebecca's struggle with being forced into human trafficking. Be sure to join us tonight at 10 as we conclude Rebecca's story, and you can rewatch any portion of our stories from the 5, the 6, and the 10 p.m. news tonight after our late newscast on our website. Rebecca Begay, a human trafficking survivor, finishes the short version of her story and tells us her plans for the future.
They raped me, they beat me, they cut me, and left me for dead. And that one thing inside me said, get up.
That's the voice Rebecca Begay says she started hearing as a young girl of 15, when she was repeatedly being sold to men for sex. She says 2 other things emerged as her saving grace from abuse, teenage homelessness, human trafficking, and drug use to dull the pain.
He's an amazing man. I love my stepdad. He's been a huge part of my life in the sense of since the moment I was arrested and then got in trouble, he came and rescued me. Job Corps is where I went.
But it took a few tries within Job Corps before Rebecca started to heal.
I had a setback in Job Corps that happened. I went to a party and woke up and a guy was raping me. So I took the wrath out on him and busted out his eye. I took his eyeball and squished it and pulled it out.
And then one day, Rebecca met her man in shining armor through Job Corps. He was a student too.
I met a man, and that would be my husband. So he became the light of my world. He was like this, I always called him my knight in shining armor because he literally warded off everything.
Rebecca told him everything, and he still didn't run. Their journey hasn't been an easy one, then or now.
I didn't start healing until 5 years ago. It was when I was 26. And I met my husband when I was 16, 17.
She is trying to help others heal through an organization she is starting in Yellowstone County called Awakening Hope.
I want to bring the victim out of that, out of human trafficking, be able to take them, teach them the ropes of how to live in this world, get them in the nutrition area, help them in finding them a home, and teach them how to live.
She has a special message to pass along too.
There is a way to get out, and there is hope behind your story. And even if they are, or if you are, a survivor that is having a hard time, tell your story.
Rebecca says a handful of organizations are teaming up with her for her new organization called Awakening Hope. She's also met with city leaders, and she's putting together that group from the ground up to help the victims of human trafficking. And one more thing, she has been clean and sober for 5 years and has such amazing hope for the future. Greg?
Well, Stella, given everything she's gone through, she sure seems like a strong woman. What was it like talking to her?
You know, it was amazing when I was interviewing her, Greg, because I was so emotional. I found myself getting so emotional. And as a mother of a daughter, I kept thinking, how in the world did a 15-year-old get through some of the things that she has done? And she looked into that camera. Every question I asked with such poise and now such willingness to help other victims of human trafficking. And I have great hope for her. And we thank her very much for sharing her story. Back to you.